Okay, so let's quickly check pretty quick. We have written some homework. So some people, deleted that user story. Okay, so don't delete any user story. Okay, because if you're deleting it, it will be a lot of inconvenience to people because some people are writing, right? Some people are writing homework. Not all people are doing okay. That's fine, but you don't want to screw up others' work, right? You don't want to screw up someone else's work, so you want to, you don't want to delete anything else. Okay, here it's fine, nobody says anything, but if you are going to the project and if you're doing things like this, you'll be in serious trouble. Okay, so don't delete anything. If you don't know, you can reach out to me. Okay, if you're looking for something, if you want to add something, you can reach out to me. Okay, but if you are deleting just like that, then it will be a lot of problems. Okay, here it's fine. I can create a user story, no big deal. I'll take it easy. Okay, I don't care really. But if you are doing that in real time, okay, expect some real questions from your boss. Okay, I don't think you don't even talk once you do such kind of things. Okay, deleting someone else's work is really not a good idea. Okay, and I mean they'll just figure it out right away. Okay, just you do it, they'll just figure it out in just minutes, right? You do once and that's it. You'll be really lucky if you last for the whole day for the in that work. Okay, because here's the thing. There's one of my friend actually. He actually was working and somehow he wrote some SQL query that deleted some production data, and I mean it was just a last day for him. Not even last day. I think they didn't just wanted to for a lunch, even not completing the lunch, and he said, you can leave. So that's what it happens when you delete someone else's work. Okay, so don't do it. And I keep telling this. Okay, so that you don't mess it up in the first place. Okay, because you don't have chance really. Once you screw up and it's gone, right? There's no second chance for it. Okay, so let's see here. Some people said they have done in previous user story. Okay, so let me look. Okay, good. Okay, so let's. So now you guys are a little bit comfortable using this tool. Okay, you can just have some hands-on experience on this tool and try to work on this more. There are a lot here. You can try any of these user stories and writing test cases. Obviously, if you're going as a tester, you're not going to write any user story. So you don't even have to bother writing any user story unless you want to go as a BA, business analyst. Okay, and so let's see here. Okay, so that's fine. Um, I mean, it's okay, because I really don't care what you do. I can, create my user story anytime. Okay, so that's really not the point here. The point is obviously um, you don't want to repeat this mistake in the workplace, right? Because you're working really in a lot of things. Okay, you're working on test environment. You need to figure it out. Okay, what is your, what is your role? A lot of things. There's a lot of things. So you don't want to, screw up someone else's work. Okay, um, it's not like I'm like it's personal problem or something like that. It's not like something like that. It's something for you because your boss really quickly identifies that. It could be in minutes. Okay, they'll just figure it out what's happening. They'll go to the rally and check it out, username, and that's you. In the see, my point is, the end of the day, it's you who is responsible for doing this. Okay, because they will they'll just call you on the desk. Hey, what? Can you stop at me? Just see, what the environment. So let me tell you, the environment at the workplace is not like you work in some Asian countries or something like that. The environment in United States is pretty much very different. Okay, the way they treat everyone is equal. So they also treat they uh, assume that you have some considerable, significant knowledge on how you perform work. Okay, they assume that you have a significant knowledge so that they don't do anything else because since you're it doesn't matter about experience. This is not about experience. It's about your quality of work, right? The ethics, the morals. Okay, so you need to be very careful on this because they'll figure it out. Okay, just a matter of maybe days. They might take some days, and so it's about you. So you need to be very careful in doing what, right? Um, okay, so here it doesn't matter. I figure it out. Okay, somebody deleted it. That's fine. No big deal. I'll just create another user story. But at work, it doesn't work that way. Okay, they created some user story. Okay, and it actually becomes really a big issue in the work because they don't take it very seriously, and it can be worse, right? First time they might let you, okay, that's fine. If you're a good boss, then you're really lucky, but not everyone gets a good boss, right? So this question is about getting good boss so that they treat you well, but not everyone treats you well, so you need to be very careful in doing these things. Okay, so let's work on various documents today. So remember again, the way you work is in the way the United States the work is very different. Okay, it's not like okay, you have done mistake, let it go. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so they don't let it go. It's a mistake, then they take it as a mistake. Okay, so you need to be very careful on doing such things. Okay, you cannot just be just it's no big deal, but it's really not the situation right now. Okay, so here we'll go to various documents. So we'll talk about this BRD. So BRD is business requirement document. So here, why do we need the first place these documents, right? We need these documents. See, in Agile, they're trying to eliminate these documents, but really it's not that possible to delete, to remove all these documents because, some experienced guy, let's say there's some really good experience, 10, 15 years guy who is working from 10 years, knows whole system there, right? The whole system he knows. Things doesn't happen without him. And suddenly the next day, says resignation letter, what, I'm leaving in 1 month, or just, 2 months. And I know this company is really in trouble. And they don't know because such a qualified guy, such an experienced guy is leaving and, they don't know what to do, what happens today because they need to figure it out, hire some new guy or figure it out what to do with it. In that case, you want these documents to be ready available because now you cannot depend on that guy that, that guy was he was great, but he was working for a long time, but he resigned it, for some personal reason, but company gets affected. So we don't want to have in that way, right? So that's the reason you need. That's one of the reasons to have this documents. Not that's not the only reason. There's other reasons to have this document. Okay, so we'll go just one by one. So there's a business requirement document. So in short, it's called BRD, and what does it do? It has like 10 to 20% use cases, business modeling, risk analysis, and budget information. Okay, so we'll just put aside to that and see how, we'll see here how the BRD looks like. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. If I'll be giving you access for this Google Drive. So this is a BRD. Okay, so this is a BRD for Mastercard, and so this is pretty large. For a tester, you get this this document to read. Uh, maybe not. Okay, it's not necessary you always get documents, but yeah, this is the BRD document, and this is you see this is pretty large, and you will be reading all this. Okay, you have to get this 21 pages, not just 21 pages, might be more than this, and you're supposed to know this. See, again, coming back to it, this document is not just prepared for a QA guy. Just get this document, read, and start writing test cases. No, this document actually is prepared keeping a lot of people in mind. Project manager, Scrum Master. Okay, Scrum Master, your boss, manager also works, right? So they have their own responsibilities and duties. And then architect people, developers, and the business analyst, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people are working on this project. You're not alone. You're not a single person who is working, right? So in that case, there's a lot of information put into it. So you may not always understand all this, what's going on. What is this? You may not understand that. But as a QA perspective, as a QA point of view, what you want to understand is what is required for you to start writing your test cases. Okay, that is the most important thing when you look at this document. So you need to figure it out. What is the very important thing where I can start writing my test cases in test management tool, right? And if you see here, this is a lot of things. Of course, we will not be, working on all these things. What is important to say? So somebody underline, right? You have need to understand that part, and you need to start writing. So this is BRD. BRD is business requirement document, and it contains information about about business modeling, risk analysis, and it contains 10 to 20% use cases. And this is prepared by whom? I mean, it depends. Mostly business analyst or product owner prepares this document, right? Just give me a second. Okay. Okay, so that is business requirement. So it can, okay, so that's what it contains. So let's go. Let's see here. Next one, FRD. Next is FRD, functional requirement document. So this, what does this document contains? This document contains all the information about functionality and features of an application. No matter either front end application or I mean, it might be web application, it might be client application, it might, as a matter of fact, any application. Okay, any application which contains the functionality and features, that's you call it as a functional requirement document. Let's see here pretty quick. You know, this is one of these, and see how we can write test cases based on this application. So we'll just try to figure it. So this is not FRD for our demo.golang. This is a completely different application. So, but let's see how we can figure it out. Because you need to write test cases based on this document, not by the application. You don't always write based on the application. You want to write based on the document. So let's see here. This is, so here if you say like first name, right? First name, field value. Okay, let's figure it out if we have that kind of thing. So let's say here. Okay, so okay, I can relate to this. So I'm just trying to relate to this application. This is not awkward for this, neither is have anything to do with anything. But I'm just trying to relate this. So how can you start writing test cases based on this document, right? So here, if you have first name, okay, we have this name. Okay, that's fine. And we have this last name. Okay, so that means now I'm trying to get an idea that first name is a static text and the field value is this one. Okay, this name they're trying to say this is the static text which is shown here and this field value. So what my aim of this test case would be, like I'm supposed to write test cases for this static test and as well as the field values of all these fields. See this? All these fields I need to write. So that's what it means by this. All these. See this? First name, that means it's static text, and field value is field value is this one. This is the value of the field, right? So that based on this, now you need to start writing your test cases. Okay, so this is FRD. What is FRD? FRD is it contains all the information about functionality and features of an application. Is it a web application? Is it a client application? Whatever application it is, but it contains functionality and application of an application. Functionality and features of an application. Okay, so here, if you see this, so there are few test cases written. If you want, you can go through it. I mean, these are just a sample test cases. It don't have to be this way. It's just a sample, and you can try to understand it based on the document. There's no application for this, so don't worry about application. You have only document, and try to figure it out if you like any of your these test cases, or you can write up your own. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the next one. That's FRD. Then you have like system requirement specification, SRS. So I mean, this is really not, this is not always required, but let's see here. This is more related for, is the ETL point of view. Okay, so this is what here it contains, right? So let's see here. So it contains all overall description, what are the system features, what we are trying to do in that feature, you want to do registration, you know, so it's normally it contains all the hardware information. Okay, software and hardware information. Like for example, this is a server. How many devices it has to be connected? Is it mobile devices? Is it, or it is, server devices and so on. Okay, so based on that, okay, SRS, SRS is this is all information it contains in SRS. Okay. Okay, you can view this document. Not always this document is required unless you want to review some of the features or functionalities which you don't understand in particular document. Okay, if you're looking at FRD and you find some discrepancy, like this is really not something which has to be done. This has to be done a little different. Then you need to refer this SRS document. Okay, so that's SRS, and it contains all the hardware and software features in the document. That's called SRS. Let's see here next one. PDM. So PDM is physical data model. Okay, so let's see here. So what does it contain? It contains information about tables. Table is a physical data, physical entity, right? So it contains information of the table. Let's see here. So this is what it contains. Okay, what is the conceptual data model? What is the physical data model? And how we are trying to do. So this is little bit related to entity relationship diagram, but it's not really ER diagram. ER diagram is completely different. Let's see here. We have that. Okay, so here it is. Okay, here you go. So this, you see this, right? This is physical data modeling. But if you want ER diagram, okay, that's entity relationship diagram. Now, most probably are most, if you're really, trying to dig a lot of information and trying to get a lot of information because you're not able to write the test cases because of little information in a document, then you want to look into ER diagram. Who is, who will be giving you ER diagram? Okay, no one gives you ER diagram. You need to find it SharePoint. But who is the responsible guy? The responsible guy would be most probably architect, the architect guy, or database administrator. Okay, those guys, mostly not database administrator, but it depends on how the work is there, right? So these guys will be having this ER diagram, and you will be having this document. You can, not always you'll be lucky to print it out. If you're lucky, then you can print it out because this printing is not easy. You need to have the plotters because it's a very big diagram because it contains source information, target information, staging information, what is the primary key, what is the natural key, and so on and so forth. Okay, so all this information is combined into this, and this is called physical data modeling. And it's only related to tables because it's a physical entity, right? So that's how physical data modeling. Then there's something called LDM, logical data modeling. Let's see this. In the LDM, it's this is similar to PDM, but except that it has logical entity. Logical entity, right? Views are logical entity. So that's the reason you have this LDM, logical data modeling, and it contains more information about the views, how you are trying to arrange it, how you are trying to design those things. Okay, all the information will be contained in the LDM. Okay, any questions so far? So here's a simple, see here the point is PDM. What is PDM? Is a physical data model. It contains information about physical entity that's stable. Okay, and there's one more LDM. So what's LDM? It's a logical data modeling which contains information about logical entity like views. Okay, now suddenly you also need to explain like what? The interview they are asking, okay, good, so what do you think it will contain? So you need to explain this, okay? It contains a lot of concepts, a lot of documentation, and a lot of steps like identifying initial steps, investigator record, creating an initial, so on. So if you look into this document, you will have a pretty good idea of what is this document. Okay, so that's LDM. Okay, so let's go to the next. HLD is high level design. So in this, what happens, right? So in high level design, let's take an example here, okay? So this contains, information about your call flows. Okay, you've seen this flow chart, right? That's what it contains in high level design. This kind of flow chart. Okay, let's take an example here, right? So let's say you're working on web services. Okay, you're working on web services, and you understand web services, right? Let's see here as a user perspective, what is web services. Now, let's say you're calling Bank of America. You're calling a Bank of America. So when you're calling Bank of America customer care, right, you're not really going directly to customer care, right? You're nowhere related. For me, it took like 1 hour just to get a physical guy on the phone. All this was handled by the web services. Okay, that is called web services. That means that is called IVR, interactive voice response. Okay, now what happens, right? There's a call flow for this. Now, whenever you give an answer, let's say your SSN, your credit card number, your PIN, when you give all this information, if you give right answer, it goes into another flow. If you give the wrong answer, it goes to another flow. Right? And if you don't give another answer, if you don't give any answer, it goes to another flow. Okay, so that is called call flows, right? So that's called call flows. And that's handled by the IVR. And at the end, when you provide all the information, your name, your date of birth, your SSN, so on, then you will be, you'll be getting a physical guy on the phone calling you, okay, how may I help? Okay, so that call flows is called HLD here. Okay, that's an example. It don't have to be any IVR, but it's just an example. What does the high-level design contains? It normally contains the call flows, how you are, it's an approach. So it's more, related to web services. Okay. And next we get TDD. TDD is technical design document. Okay, this is, let's say you are working on ETL project. Normally this is for ETL, and once you understand, right? There is a source, there is stage and target, and if you want to move your data from source to staging to target, then you need some kind of jobs or job scheduling tool, right? Why do you need a job scheduling tool? Now you cannot just, this is not like something like copy and paste, right? You cannot do that. There's a millions of record, right? There's a millions of record now. I think they are actually, it will be in billions, but they will give some reasonable data, not just complete whole data. And production data, not always you'll be having access to production data. You'll be having limited access. So let's say there is a millions of data that have to move from source to staging to target. Now you cannot just say to me, just now what I'll do, I'll just copy here and paste it there. Doesn't work that way, right? Your copy and paste is so much misused that for everything you say, no, I'll just copy and paste it. So that doesn't work. Okay, you want to move whole your data, not just moving, you are just replicating that whole data into another environment. So in that case, you want to use jobs, right? Because the job has some SQL queries in it. That has some set of instructions, shell script where you execute or trigger that so that it moves the data one by one. So for that you need TDD, technical design document. Okay, so that shows which job is important, which job has to kick first, which job is next, what is independent jobs, what are dependent jobs. Okay, all this information will be there in TDD. Okay, next you have STM. STM is like source to target mapping document. Let's see here. You have to write your test cases based on this mapping document. If you're an ETL guy, then you need to write test cases based on this mapping document. So let's see here how does this mapping document looks like. Okay, good. This is good. Now, this is an example of mapping document. So this is what STM, source to target mapping document. Now, what does it contains? It contains all the information about the source and target. Now, just by saying the source and target doesn't mean that you have to elaborate it, right? What is its source? Source contains a lot of things. It contains tables. It contains views. Again, in tables you have data in it, so it contains rows. It contains columns. Okay. Again, it has a lot of things. So let's see here. If you have BDW, means business data warehouse. So there's EDW and business and BDW. This enterprise data warehouse, the business data warehouse, and this column name. So this is all columns. Okay. Okay. Good. Now we are not talking about the rows because the rows is what you need to figure it out. Is it good or not? Okay. Now target column data type. This is what's the data type for it. Is it integer? variable character or date or so on. BDW target PK. PK means primary key. Okay. So if you see this primary key, you know, right? It's unique and not null. And if you see this, oh, there are so many primary keys. That means this is a composite primary key. Okay. If you contain more than one primary key, then it's called composite primary key. Okay. I think it can contain 24. That was long time back. Was back in 2010. Maybe now I think they have increased it on totally different way of doing it. But normally it used to contain max 24 primary key in one table. That's called composite primary key. Okay. And the reference code, if you have lookup table, you want to see this lookup table. So what's because there might be some things which are generated through lookup table, so you want to look into it. So you can see here this is the address usage. So that's the information about target. Okay, now you need to write query in this based on this target. Now let's talk about the source. Now this is the source field name. Again, there's no information about rows. Nobody will tell you the rows normally. Okay, unless they have some specific information like this, you know, address usage or something. Always they don't say about this. You always need to depend on the columns. Okay. Now this is the field name, source, and what is source data type, and here's the business logic. It is called mapping rule. Sometimes it's easy. They put easy all the code here, so you just need to copy and paste. But it's really not. Has to be that way. You need to write your own SQL query, right? You need to, here. This is the logic, business logic. Okay. If you see here, they have applied logic to this source. Not really. This is for staging. You can say that it's staging it. Now, okay. So you need to apply your logic to the staging table or staging environment, and then you need to get the result and compare with the target. Okay, you need to write this, understand this logic here, and to construct your SQL and execute that SQL. One of the query will be easy, just simple as select star from table, but the other will contain this logic, so that you need to understand. But really, it may not be that simple too, because you have to consider primary keys and whatever natural keys is available. You need to also use this. Okay, so this is STM, source to target mapping document. So this is what it contains. So what does it contain? It contains all the information about the source and target. Okay, so you can view this document. Okay, I'll be giving you access for this Google Drive. Just look into these documents. Okay, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. And then let's go to we'll go pretty quick here. We need to complete 4. So there's something called test plan document. Okay, so what is this test plan document? Oops. Okay, you know what, we can just see here. So test plan is a high-level document prepared by the QA lead. So that's because it is prepared by QA lead doesn't mean that you are not doing anything here. Okay, we need to give inputs, right? So what does it contain? So I'll be giving you homework on this. Maybe by tomorrow or day after tomorrow we'll see this. So it contains all the information. Like here, what kind of testing we are doing? If we are doing that kind of testing, what are the modules you need to follow? Risk, test risk, items to be tested, not to be tested, test approach, test pass-fail criteria, and so on. So this is a test plan document. What is a test plan document? Test plan document is normally prepared by the QA lead. It's a high-level document. Okay, it's a high-level document, and it contains information about the about this test pass-fail criteria, test deliverables, test suspension, environment, and so on. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So there's one more thing called test strategy document. So test strategy document is again a high-level document prepared by the QA lead. And what does it contain? It contains information about test levels, roles and responsibilities, testing tools, test schedules, test groups, test priorities, so on. Okay, so you know what? Some people in some companies they say test strategy and test plan as one. So go with the flow. Don't argue with them. You know, this test plan is different. Test strategy is different. Technically, they are different because test plan is how you approach. Test strategy is like if you are stuck somewhere, how you proceed with that without hampering any issue. So that's the strategy. Okay, but you don't have to go on technical terms. If the people say it's both are same in this company, then go with the flow. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Test cases. We know test cases. We have written a lot of test cases, right? It is a high-level document prepared by the QA tester. And what does it contain? It contains information about test case ID, objective, steps to perform, expected result, pass-fail criteria, comment. Although we just used to input and output, but this is all we need to consider when you are using test cases. And there is something called migration document. Okay, not always this is required, but let's say why do we need this? Let's say that, there is some Teradata, the source is some Teradata, and you are migrating the Teradata to Oracle platform, right? Two different platforms. So why do you want to do that? Because let's say client figure it out, they figure it out that hey, you know what, we have billions of data, Teradata doesn't support that one or something is wrong. And we want to move to Oracle because we really don't have that much ability to perform that in Teradata, so we are moving in Oracle. So that's really big, big job. Not easy because if you are working with a lot of data, then this will be a tedious one. Okay. Now, what you have in this migration document, a lot of things are taken consideration, right? Like for example, there's a Teradata guy who is exporting Teradata, writes SQL in Teradata, and they give a lot of records. And there has to be Oracle guy who has to. So all this has to be documented, right? So who is working on it, and what is the criteria, how we are moving the data from source, and how we are moving to target. That's called migration document. How we are migrating from one platform to another platform. And the reason we need this because again I tell you, right? If a guy who has experience was not of experience and that guy resigned, and he has a lot of information about Teradata, he knows how to use SQL assistant, he knows how to use all those things, but they suddenly resigned. Now you need some document, right? If a new guy comes up, and even though although he's experienced guy, he knows everything, but still you don't know the project, how the project is going. So that's the reason we need this migration document. Okay. So any questions so far? So that's about the documents. Okay, so let's move to the next topic. So we go to SDLC. So what is SDLC? SDLC is Software Development Lifecycle. Okay, and it's a framework. Okay, let's see here. So we just do this. Oops. Okay, so SDLC is Software Development Lifecycle. Okay, and it is a framework how you perform. Let's see here. Okay, it is a framework that describes your activity performed at each stage in software development cycle, right? It's not like whatever you want to do, you can do. It's not like that. You need to follow some procedure, some policies that's set by the company. Okay, now that's that's why they use SDLC model. Okay, now you will see here again. The people who don't know this, SDLC is not a software. Okay, because some of the bad guys said me, hey, you know what? Can you give me access to SDLC? So SDLC is not software. It's not a tool, or it's not something in a web interface or something like that to give you access. It's a framework. That means, when you're performing work, you need to follow some procedures, some guidelines, right? You cannot just do whatever you want. Okay, so that's called framework. Okay, you need to follow some procedures and policies and guidelines, by the company. So that's a framework. Okay, so here is the thing. This is a waterfall methodology which is derived from SDLC. So it see here the bigger part of SDLC is okay. So there is actually 10 stages of SDLC process. Okay, so I'm not going through all these 10 stages. I'll stick to 6 phases. Okay, if you want, you can go ahead with the, if you're really good, you can go ahead with the 10 stages. I'll just stick to only 6 phases. Okay, here let's go with requirements. So what is the requirement? So what happens in this, right? So in this case, business analyst or product owner starts writing their documents. Okay, this is FRD or requirement documents. All of this is designing this state. Whose job is this? This is the job of a BA or product owner. Okay, we'll stick to BA, business analyst. Okay, he or she designs all the documents. Talks with the talks with the developer, talks with the architect guy. How we can design this? How can we can work so that this could be better? And he talks to the upper management, saying that okay, what we came up with this model. Can we approve this? All this is design the requirement phase, right? And whose job is this? Business analyst. Very well, business analyst works on this module. Now, next stage is design. So, whose job is this? This is normally job of an architect guy. The architect who actually knows how the system should be, how the how the table should look like. Should it also contain views? Should be how much data it should take, how many primary keys, and all those things is designed by the architect guy. Okay, now that's the design phase. The architect guy works on this and sees if there's anything to be done. Implementation phase. Now, whose job is this? The coding developer. Now, developer comes into the picture in the implementation. Starts coding based on the architect model and based on the requirements. This looks into it and see what it could be done. He or she starts coding in the implementation phase. Okay, job of a developer. Now, test. Here is we come QA tester is responsible in this phase. Okay, starts testing the application. Okay, once the developer develops it, you start testing. Next, installation. Installation in the sense, moving, let's take an example here, moving the code from test environment to production environment installation. So who's responsible for this? Normally the middleware team is responsible for installation phase. Okay. Now next, go to the maintenance phase. Now maintenance, if you have any production issues, if there's any issues that are showing up, and normally senior QA lead or QA lead will be responsible for this, and of course the developer guys too. Most of the time developers, the QA guys are really good, so they are also involved in this. Okay, so let me ask you a question here. So as a QA perspective, as a QA tester, a QA analyst, where does my job start from? Can anyone answer? As a QA, I'm a QA guy, right? I have 6 phases of this methodology. Okay, this SDLC model. Where do I start from? Can anyone answer? Okay. Implementation. Anyone else? Okay. So if it is in implementation or test, right? So in that case, my question will be, do you think you're getting paid to sit idle, so you'll be doing nothing? So technically, you're saying that my job is implementation or test. So all these three phases, I'll be doing nothing. So you will be idle for all these three. That means if the project is for 1 month, so will you be idle for 4 weeks doing nothing? So do you think they pay you for doing nothing? Okay, so as a QA, our job starts right from requirements. Okay, right from requirements, not just any other phase. Why? Because you need to know, as a QA in the requirement, you start brainstorming. Here you start your brainstorming, right? Now business analyst comes with a document saying that, hey, you know what, this is the document, we are going through this, and you need to figure it out issues in that, because let's say the QA environment is full. Okay, you would argue that is the QA environment, how are you going to proceed with it? Because already there is something is working on it, we cannot use that environment, it's for up to 3 months, we cannot go forward, so how are you going to move? So all this brainstorming work, right? And if there is any issues with the document, what does the document says, and if there is any something missing on the document, okay, all this goes into requirement phase. So you need to raise up some questions which you really which hampers your testing process, right? um, so you'll be invited for a meeting, you'll be having meeting, you have to discuss with the lead, and the lead explains. Okay, the lead has to raise some questions saying that, well, how are you going to implement this and how are you going to do this? Okay, so those are all done in the requirement phase as the QA is concerned. Okay, in design phase, so as I told you, you're not sitting idle. You want to write your test cases, test plan, test strategy document, test cases. You have to complete the documents too, right? You cannot, sit idle. So that's the reason you do it in a design stage. Okay, an implementation stage, let's say you're not able to complete all of this, there's a lot of documents, so only test plan and test strategy was covered. You want to write your test cases, you need to write in implementation phase. Okay, so in test plan and test strategy, right, although you are not writing it physically, but you are responsible for giving inputs, right? How the document should be, because based on your experience, previous project, how are you going to use your, how are you going to use it in this project, and comply with that. So that's what you need to give inputs in test plan and test strategy document. Okay, once you have done it, the implementation phase, you want to write your test cases. Okay, once you have done with that, you want to start execution in the test process. Now you're not going to write test cases in test, you don't have time. Okay, you don't have time to write test cases. That's the reason always you need to write test cases before itself. Okay, you cannot write at the end of the time, because really there's no time. You need to complete your execution in the testing phase. In the installation phase, you want to coordinate. You want to coordinate with the middleware team. How are you going to move that whole code from test environment to production environment without any issues? A lot of coordination issues. You need to coordinate with a lot of people, so middleware people. Okay, they will be moving the code. Not developer, not testers. There's a middleware team who handles this. Okay, in big companies, that's what it happens. Okay, Next, in the maintenance phase. So what happens in the maintenance phase? So normally QA lead are, if there is any production issues, how are you maintaining it? How are you fixing that issues and putting into production? That's what. Not always QA. If you're senior QA, or if you're really skilled QA, then you are also giving a chance in maintenance phase. So that's about waterfall methodology. Any questions? So why this waterfall model, right? Because waterfall, right? It flows from top to bottom, not bottom to top. So that means if you have any issues here, you need to go back again to the requirements and then come back one step after one step. So that's the drawback of this. So that's the bigger drawback. But if you have any issues in between or found something, it has to go again back to requirements, back to design, there's a lot of things. So that's one of the drawbacks. Okay, what is the advantage? Advantage of the waterfall methodology is when you think quality is more important than cost, right? If you want to say quality is more important than cost, then waterfall model is for you. Now, if you think cost is more important than quality, then agile is for you. Okay, because agile doesn't care about quality. Quality is almost gone in agile. Okay. But the thing is, you get really fast delivery and it really goes pretty quick. Okay, so that's the advantage and disadvantage of waterfall. Yeah, if you want information, okay, you can reach out to my email ID, okay, manu@itmaker.com, or you can just call me. Some few people already called me, right? They try to understand what this is about, so that's good. I'll schedule a meeting, or if it's too many people, I'll schedule a meeting. We can talk about this. If you don't understand something, see, the more is you try to go to these videos and try to go to this, and then what you try to understand from that, and what is your questions is more important than explaining everything at once. Because I can explain everything at once, but it's not very useful if you don't understand it. So my point is, you can go through it, what is important at this point of time, and try to understand this. And if you have any questions on that, then I can, be better able to help you out. But if you want the same thing again and again, that will not help for anyone, right? Yes, you can call me. Yeah. First, try to, call me. If I'm not available, reach out to my email ID so that we can schedule, because sometimes I'm not on my desk, right? So in that case, email me. Um, I'll call back. Just leave a phone number. I can call you back. Okay, so that's waterfall. Let's move to the pretty quick. We're running out of time. Okay, there's something called V-shaped SDLC model. See, here's the thing, right? This. Yeah, the way this IT is, right? So once you understand the IT, the way the IT is, you really don't require tens of experience to this. You don't really require experience. Any guy, random guy from no experience can do this job very well than any other person. Okay, so that's how this IT is. Okay, you don't have to be really super qualified on that, and you don't have to be some certification on that, and you have done this and that. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, how you perform well is most important. Okay, so it doesn't have to be you are IT background, non-IT background, commerce background. It's not just it doesn't matter, because it's more of a how we perform the work, right? Okay, so V-shaped SDLC model. So now this is, that auctions remain same, that, we've gone through that waterfall, right? It's a similar flow, but here you're using it the same way in a V-shaped. See this requirements, production, you're using two things simultaneously. That's why this is called V-shaped model. Okay, so that's V-shaped, and it has its own advantages and disadvantages. You can go to this document. This document will be available mean, it's already available in Google Drive. Go through it. Let's go to the next pretty quick. So this is RAD. Okay, so this is, we'll go through this agile. Once we go to agile methodology. Okay, in agile methodology, so agile is pretty broad. It's a very high level. Again, I would say this is high level because it has so many sub levels. Like it contains Scrum, it contains Rapid Application Model. Okay, it contains Kanban process. Okay, it's a lot of agile is pretty broad term. If somebody asks what methodology you use, you would say just agile. So just by saying agile doesn't mean that you might be still in waterfall, improving waterfall, or you might be in agile with a different process, and it's a pretty broad term. So all this actually comes under agile methodology actually. Okay, so we'll talk about this agile. Okay, and we'll see. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we'll talk about agile and see, how they, we'll go through terminologies, because waterfall and agile is completely different. Okay, because the terminology is different, but the work is also different. I mean, you work for 6 months project, you're just squeezing it 2 months done. Okay, but if you want same thing, you're going waterfall, you're working for 6 months. So that's why agile is more used because of its fast. Okay, it's pretty quickly done. Okay, so next, incremental SDLC model. So here the same SDLC model is used as incremental SDLC because here you'll be doing validation and verification. Okay, that's incremental. Next we will go to, it's all derived from waterfall methodology. Okay, so whatever, even if you're doing waterfall, so all this will be part of that. Okay, and then you have this spiral SDLC. The reason we call this spiral because it has 4 quadrants actually. It has objectives, alternatives, next level product, plan. So what you're trying to do is here you're moving one quadrant after another quadrant and then so on in spiral way, right? And then the things remain same: prototype, concept, requirements, design, implementation, testing, maintenance. All those remain same, but the way you're doing is different. You're actually having 4 quadrants and you're moving from one quadrant to another in a spiral way. So that's why it's called spiral SDLC. Okay, let's move to the next one. So SDLC, I'm sorry, Agile, we'll talk about this Agile. Okay, so as I told you, these are the methods used in Agile, right? Here you go, that's what I was saying. You have adaptive software development, there is again dynamic software development, and Scrum, we'll talk about the Scrum. Mostly we'll talk about the Scrum because Scrum is something which is iterative and incremental process where a lot of people are involved, and it gets improving day by day. So we'll talk about this, and this is more famous than any other. There's something called Kanban, we'll talk about that too. That's also included in one of the method in Agile. Okay, it's really simple. If you know Scrum, Kanban will be easy for you. Okay, then we do something called extreme programming. This is also part of Agile. Okay, these are our Agile process. And here you can go to this adaptive SDLC. And next we have. Okay, good. Any questions so far? So that's about some information about various SDLC process. So we just go pretty quick here. Let's go to SDLC. So far we talked about SDLC, software development cycle. This is SDLC, software testing life cycle. Now SDLC is a its whole company knows what's the SDLC process. SDLC is related only for testing perspective. SDLC is related to development, but as a testing perspective, you need to know SDLC because you are in the framework, right? In the particular framework, though. So you need to also know SDLC. But as far as STLC is concerned, only testing people will be knowing this STLC. Okay. So here, what do you do? Test plan preparation. Okay. We already talked about test plan. Once you do that, you start your test case design. Okay, so that's what we learned in SDLC, right? So similar way. Then we have done all this. Let's check it out here. So if you go to the rally, first prepare your test plan, then you prepare your test cases, then you execute and test log preparation. So let's see here. Okay, so first is test plan. We prepare that's a document, completely different document, not related to here. This is the test cases, and it says we have prepared this, right? So that's what it's saying. Test case design, test execution, and test log preparation. Okay, so we executed this. Remember, somebody deleted my report, so this is someone else's report. So this is test log. Okay, so if you can see this, they didn't attach the document, but this is a test log. Okay, so this is the test log. And then defect tracking, of course, we open the defects. We open defects. This is the defect. And you want to track that. That means D420, D412 is the defect ID. Then you want to track that. That's called defect tracking. Okay. And then test report preparation. Of course, we talk about test reports. We went to this report and we talk about a lot of reports. So that's the testing life cycle. That means whatever you have done, you're saying this is theoretically, testing life cycle. Okay. What you do, test plan preparation, test case design, test execution and test log preparation, defect tracking, test report preparation. So this is about STLC. Okay, this is in detail. I can go through it. And there is a hierarchy too. So let's see here. Okay, this is the bug status. We'll talk about this just a moment. So we have discussed this priority and severity. Okay. So there's a hierarchy. Okay. So for a QA perspective, you have QA, that your QA analyst or QA engineer or QA tester. Okay. And then you have QA lead who is responsible to manage you. Okay. Now beyond that, you have QA manager. Okay. Now beyond that, you have QA director who is actually responsible for the whole project to go through it. Okay. So these are the level of hierarchy when you're using the QA. So in the developer side, it's a similar way. You have developer reports to dev lead, and then dev lead will report to dev manager will report to dev director. It's a similar way in both tester and developer. Okay. Let's go here, go back pretty quick. And the last one we see bug life cycle. Okay, let's pretty check here. So we have talked about SDLC, STLC, now bug life cycle. You know what, we also covered this. Okay. So let's see here what's the okay. So here, let's be here. Okay. So if you put new, so once let's say you have opened a defect, right? Let's see here. So we'll just go with an example. So as you know, so this is, there are a few actually. So I'm looking to good people who have created. Okay, good. Here is 10 defects. Okay. So the moment you open a new defect is called new, right? So let's see here. Let's say if I want to. Okay, so this is what we are talking about, defect state we are talking about. Okay, so once you open, it will be new, that is submitted. Okay, and once you assign it, then it's open. That means it will be open. Okay, now afterwards you assign it. Okay, so here you assign who is responsible for this. See this owner, and you are assigning this. So this is called assign. Okay, and once you assign it, now developer will figure it out. What has to be done is it should be fixed, or it should be rejected, or it should be deferred. So let's say if it is fixed, it goes to test. That means it comes back to you. You need to retest it again, based on the fix. Okay. Now, if you want to reopen, you can again go ahead and reopen it, because you find now it's not fixed. Now, if it is not fixed, now you need to have some really very good reason to reopen it, because you cannot reopen once it gets rejected. Developer mostly rejects it. Once it gets rejected, you cannot reopen it just like that. If you are reopening it, you might have really some good reason, or you need to stop by at your dev desk, or you need to call him saying that, hey, you know what, this is the issue and it's really not fixed. Okay, you need to make the developer understand. Otherwise, if it gets rejected and you reopen it, it will get rejected again. This is really not good, because that goes to your boss. Okay, because you're not conveying either information properly, or you're not communicating with the developer to. Okay, because you don't want to get it rejected more than once. Okay, and once you can go ahead in this, and then you verify it and close. Okay, once you find this, okay, the defect is fixed, you verify it and close. Now let's say if in assign section it might get rejected, because it's not really defect, it's a feature, and they reject it, and the other is deferred. The reason the deferred, because let's say developers work with a lot of projects, they don't have time for you, and they will say, okay, you know what, this is a defect, we know this is a defect, this will go into next release, not this release. So in that case, they call it as deferred. So this is bug lifecycle. Okay, what is bug lifecycle? So this is what we are talking about, the defect state in not just in rally, whatever tool you take, this is the states what you'll be talking about. We were talking about states in this rally, how it goes one after the other. Okay. Any questions so far? So go to the recording. Okay. If you have any questions, or if the recording is not good, okay, I already told you, right? Recording is not good. I'm telling you, I'm giving you better audio quality. Okay. So go to the better audio quality. Okay. And just try to see that. Okay, and also you need to do some research on from your part too. Okay, you cannot just rely on me completely. Okay, I will explain you all these concepts, but you need to do some part of your research too, because there's always a different scenario. You don't have to, what I told you, just don't have to be that way. In that case, you all need to go in detail, because I am not going in detail anything, like I'm just giving you overview. But the way that is, you need to go in detail. Okay, somebody open defects, let's see here. Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, whatever defects you open, you need to check it out. So here's the thing, right? For everyone, whatever defects you open, first you need to check it out. You want to make sure your defect is correct, right? So who will help you out? Lead should suppose to help. You need to send an email to your lead saying that, what, this is what the issue is. Can I open a defect? You can see, just because you found some defect, it doesn't mean that, okay, go ahead and log into Rally and open a defect. You can't do that. Okay, you need to confirm with your lead saying that this is the issue. Can we open a ticket on this? Can we open a defect on this? Okay, so that so and if let's say the lead is not responding, he doesn't respond to your calls, he doesn't respond to your emails. You want to check it out in the desk, right? You want to check it out in the desk, or if nothing else. See, there's more scenarios which he doesn't respond. There's a lot of things that they will not respond, right? They might be busy. They might be, they're busy with other work. They have different work, so they might not respond to you multiple times. In that case, you want to check it out with directly on the desk by stopping at desk, or if it's not available on desk, is working offline. You can check it out with your boss. That would be a final stage, but you don't want to do that at the beginning. But now your boss should help you out on that. So they have to help you out. Okay. So there's no other way, because lead is not responding. You want to say, you know what, I've checked up 3 times, I called him 5 times, it's been 2 days, and he sent an email, I didn't get a response. Can you let me know, is this a defect? Or, can I open this as a defect? Because I really think this is the defect, because based on my previous experience, this was not really like this. So, I'm thinking this is supposed to be a defect. If you give your reasoning better, that should be good. Okay. So that's how you need to open a defect. So it's not like correct or wrong. So I cannot verify it's a correct or wrong. Yes, it can be a defect. Yes, right. That's a defect. But it has to be judged by your lead, QA lead, because they are an experienced guy. And if you cannot, then you need to check it out with a developer, saying that, hey, you know what, this is the issue. Can you let me know it's a bug or not? Okay. So that's how you need to check it out. And remember again, just because you found some bug, just because you found a defect, doesn't mean it's a defect, and you don't be in rush saying that, hey, you know what, I opened a defect. You can't do that, okay? At least to start with, when you're starting new project, when you're new, you can't do that. You need to always confirm with your lead, confirm with your business analyst, confirm with developer, confirm with your boss, okay? So that's you need to keep in your mind. Just don't be hurry in doing this. You will have time, but make sure you use that time appropriately. Don't waste the time in some other thing. Okay, that's the point. Any more questions? Okay, if no questions, can we close this class for today? So tomorrow, we'll go through this agile, and we'll work with this. And again, go through this recording. If you don't understand, go to the recording. Get the better audio quality. Okay, if you're, that should work. Or you again, you need to do your own research, right? You cannot completely depend on me saying that this is not good, that is not good. You have to do some part of your work, right? Now you have to do some part, and that's what you pay. You get paid, right? Because you're using your skills to to do this. So that's the reason you need to do some part of your work before coming to me. So, if at least you can say this part is module I didn't understood. This is module, but whole thing you don't understood is really not the point. Okay, so you cannot say to me, "Hey, I didn't understand whole to me." Okay, I would say the same. Go to the recording. Okay, what you understood and what not. Then you can come back to me. That would be a better. Because you need to do some part of your research. Okay, if you cannot going to do research, no, that will be a problematic. Okay. Okay, thank you guys.